Let's do it to honor the generations yet to come, who have every right to expect growing up in a world of peace, freedom, and prosperity. Let's recall this spirit today, and let's remember it every day. Every day is a new opportunity to match our words with action, because ultimately, history will judge us by what we do. The United Nations can continue to count on Luxembourg in word and in deed. Thank you.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Micheál Martin, Taoiseach of Ireland. I request protocol to escort His Excellency and invite him to address the Assembly.
President of the General Assembly, distinguished heads of state and government, Secretary General, Excellencies, friends. It is important to remember what brings us together every year. 80 years ago, the world was emerging from the most savage conflict in our history. 80 million people lay dead. A deliberate industrial-scale genocide aimed at obliterating Europe's Jewish population saw 6 million people murdered, a monstrous crime that remains unsurpassed in human history. People were targeted for death because of their ethnic identity, their sexual orientation, their disability. Cities were laid waste, throttled by siege, firebombed into oblivion, or pulverized by the first and only use of atomic weapons in war. Humanity had descended into the abyss. This United Nations was the phoenix that rose from that darkness, the highest expression of our commitment to unite our strength to maintain international peace and security. It was the best attempt by those who had seen the worst of humanity to offer a different path to future generations. Dag Hammarskjöld, UN Secretary General in the 1950s, captured the reality of that vision best when he stated, "The United Nations was not created to take mankind to heaven, but to save humanity from hell." Since Ireland joined in 1955, the United Nations has been the cornerstone of our foreign policy. There is no member state more committed to its ideals. There is no member state more determined to ensure it succeeds in its mission. And like all member states, we depend on the UN Charter and the protections of international law for our security and well-being. At a time when the world risks slipping back into an order in which might is right and some voices count more than others, it is up to us as leaders to reassert and to insist on the primacy of international cooperation. President, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that the recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. I am deeply concerned by the constant pushback on human rights norms that has accelerated in recent years. Against women's rights and gender equality, against LGBTQ+ rights. I call out the brutal Taliban for their denial of the most fundamental rights of Afghanistan's women and girls. Ireland continues to work tirelessly to oppose all attempts to dilute existing international commitments and human rights standards. We reaffirm our commitment to honour and comply with the universal nature and the individuality of human rights. To demonstrate that commitment, we will run for a seat on the Human Rights Council from 2027 to 2029. President, conflict is always and everywhere a sign of human failure. Conflict destroys lives. It devastates economic development, It leaves scars and divisions that take generations to heal. We in Ireland know that from experience. On Friday of last week, the Irish and British governments agreed a new framework for addressing the legacy of the conflict